Hi, today is October 29th, and today we are going to continue our discussion about the differences between the North and the South. So I'll get to that target in a second. Our vocab word today is Industrial Revolution, and Industrial Revolution, you can see it says the dramatic change, and I bet it was because all of a sudden things that people had made with their hands, had homemade, had spent days working on. For example, like a shirt. By the time you get the cotton from the sheep or the wool from the sheep, and then you do all sorts of steps to it to clean it and prepare it, turn it into thread, then put it onto a machine, not a machine, a device so that you can make it into fabric, and then actually cut it out and stitch it. There's a lot that goes into just making the shirt you're wearing. And before the Industrial Revolution, you had to do all those steps personally. This took a lot of time. Even baking bread, if you've ever done that from scratch, it's not a slow process. Kind of why most of us buy it from a store versus make it ourselves. Excuse me. So, Industrial Revolution was this dramatic change where machines started to make things that people used to make, and it changed a lot of things about us. It changed business because now people made money off of making things that we used to make our own, and people now stopped making those things because it was much cheaper and more efficient to buy them. So now they're going to work in places that make those things, or they have to get a paying job of some kind where they make money versus trading for goods, what people did before factories. You make this, I'll make that, and we'll switch. So it really changed a lot of things, the Industrial Revolution. So think about an opposite of what it would mean to make things with machines. Our target today it's very similar to the one from yesterday, but what you're doing is we're doing the opposite region. So if you, at the end of the hour yesterday, read information and drew pictures for our pie chart on the north, then today you're looking at the other region, the south. We want to, in the end, for Monday, have 5 things about one region, north or south, and then on Tuesday have 5 things north or south for the other region. So that's kind of the idea here, because this chapter is really heavily focused on the differences between the North and the South. So we have to understand how they're different. And this is one step to doing that. So we're going to start today by sharing out our pie charts of information on the North and South, and then creating bubble maps with somebody else that was from the other region, so that you can learn about that other region, and then you can teach somebody else too. After that, we watched part of a video called Mill Times. It's a PBS special on the development of factories. And these factories primarily happened in the north. It'll talk about in the video that you need a small size river that's got a good current to it. So think of the Crow Wing River if you've ever tubed down the Crow Wing River. The tubing is more fun if you just get to float along. You don't have to paddle because there's a current, and just more fun. And so rivers like that, and then they would put water wheels, basically wheels that move in the water, and then those are connected to long tubes that then spin because the water is going in the wheel well. It's causing the that center powertrain, kind of like in a car, to spin, which then causes the wheels or anything else to go. And obviously the video will do a much better job of showing you that than I am doing right now. But it's the beginning of factories, and clothing is one of the first mass-produced thing in factories because we all need it, and it's a very time-consuming process. So where do you find the stuff I'm talking about? So for the North and the South, if you go into this folder, Divisions of the North and South, chapters 18 and 19, that's the next part of this pre-Civil War unit. You'll see that if you go down just a couple, there's these information about the North, page 1, page 2, information about the South, page 1, page 2. This is where you're going to find that information. If you were gone both Monday and Tuesday, or you feel it'd be in your benefit, I would read both of them Otherwise, read the one that you were not exposed to. And you may have to open it to see. And then I think I need to add this yet, but here is the video for the PBS meal times. And I'll include this link. It'll be underneath the information. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down in your notes as you watch it how life was before factories, and then how did life change after factories. So, for example, one thing before factories you're going to see right away is that people made everything by hand. And that was just how that worked. You had to make it by hand. And an interesting thing that he mentions after factories is people had to live by the clock. They had before, lived by sunup and sundown by the sun. Now the clock matters more because a factory is not going to say show up when the sun rises. They're going to say be here at 6 a.m. And then you're done at 6 p.m. So they're going to have more of a time schedule. Very similar to what we have today. We don't say to students show up when the sun rises and leave, about midday. We tell students class starts at 8:15, it ends at 3 o'clock. So we're very much time driven. So what I'd like you to watch is if you start at the beginning of this, and then as you're watching, go, till about the 15-minute mark, not quite actually, the 8-minute mark, you'll notice that it becomes a cartoon. I'll scroll ahead. And this cartoon, although it's fascinating, and if you have the time, you can watch it.
Attention students, if I can have.
Okay, just had to quick pause an announcement. So you don't have to watch this cartoon. It's a good story, but you don't have to watch it. And then if you scroll ahead about to the 15, 20 mark or so. And then you'll get back to where the real footage is, not the cartoon. Watch that again, and then there'll be another cartoon. And when you get to that cartoon, then you can scroll ahead till about the 20, I think it's just the beginning of the 28 or 29. And then just watch until about the 30-minute mark. So it's about 20 minutes in all that you need to watch. And it's just summarizing what factories look like. Some of you may have read the book Lydia. Lydia is based on this time period, and it deals with the negative aspects of factories. They can be very dangerous, and girls are not paid a ton to work in this. It's primarily girls, young girls before they're married especially. So there's some definite dangers, and if you've read that book, you know of a few of them. We're going to take a look at that later on. At the beginning, they're managed very well, and it's a safer, not completely safer, but a little safer place. So we'll get to the downfall of it soon enough. But that is what we did today. There is no homework today, just to do your target sheet, and make sure you start beginning to look at the difference between North and South. You can, I said North and South practice. We didn't get to this in class, but right here is a practice quiz. Big part of this quiz will be knowing the differences between the North and the South. So you can start looking at that. So you can start getting in your head, how is the North different than the South? All right, as always, any questions, ask me. Otherwise, have a great night. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow.